Title of this lecture is The Eye. Okay, so on the left side here, we're going to do a lateral view of the eye cut in a sagittal section. Okay, so when we start here on the left, we're going to start with the front of the eye. But before we do, let's do this. True or false? Your eye is a perfect ball. False, because I use the word perfect. To try this out, I want you to close your eye for just a moment. Put your fingers on your eyelid. Okay? Now look from side to side. Yeah, there's like a little, it feels like a pea or a little ball or something sticking forward. That's the first part we're going to draw here today. And that sticks forward a little bit like this. Okay? This is the part of your eye where if you wear contact lenses, this is where it will rest. That's also why your contact lens prescription has two different numbers associated with it. One of them is like -2 or -6, depending on what your prescription actually is, how much correction the lens provides. The second number is the diameter, how big around the thing is so it fits your cornea. It rests right on top of that cornea there. Oh, by the way, this is called the what? Cornea. A couple of things really important about the cornea are these. Number one is that it is clear. It's clear. It shouldn't be cloudy. In some people it does become cloudy over time, and eventually they become blind as a result of it. Now, this is also why in your organ donation, though you can't donate your eyes to someone, similar to the way you can't donate your brain to somebody. It's too hard to hook one up, okay? But you can donate, or people can donate their corneas. So if the corneas of someone's eyes become cloudy, they can actually cut all the way around and remove the cornea and replace it with a donor's cornea, and they can see again. Now, this is not the only source of blindness, nor is it the only cure for, well, there's not a whole lot of cures for blindness. There's a ton of things that can make somebody blind, but this one is actually curable with a donation. Okay, this is clear and lots of nerves. They say it's the second most concentrated nerve endings in the entire body is the cornea. If you've ever got something stuck in your eye, you know that that's true. It hurts a lot, or scratched your cornea. So your natural inclination then is, what is the first? That's what I asked my eye doctor in St. Louis growing up. Second most concentrated in the body. I said, what's the first? The anus, which is why our hemorrhoids hurt so darn bad. It's like, thanks, doc. Anyway.
Are you serious?
Yeah, that's what he said.
I thought it'd be like the brain or something.
You would think that. Well,
Not the
well, thanks, viewers at home. All right, so here's the deal. The brain, not... Note, folks, I said nerve endings for sensory. The brain definitely has more nerves than any part of the body, but they can do brain surgery on somebody without applying any numbing medication to the brain itself, because the brain has no nerve endings sensing pain or pressure or anything. Okay. All right, so cornea, clear, lots of nerves. It is continuous with this layer of the eye. Now we're going to go ahead and form most of the rest of the eye here. Okay. Yeah. You'll find that these layers, and maybe make yours round. I don't know what this little nub is here. That's not good news. Okay. All right. This cornea is clear, and it's continuous with this layer of the eye that is not clear. Both are pretty tough and fibrous. But this portion of the eye is white. Okay. The portion of the eye that's white forms the outer layer of the eye. It's called the sclera. S-C-L-E-R-A. Sclera. Not sclera, sclera. Like 2 syllables. So, was it General Washington? Low on munitions. Don't shoot till you see the whites of their eyes. Yes, don't shoot till you see the sclera. Okay.
So the cornea is just like the very outer film?
The very
of the first-
front part of it. Yeah.
and
In fact,
and then like the middle of the two is the sclera?
yeah. In fact, go ahead and do just a little bit of shading in here so we can recognize the front part is clear. Sclera is continuous with it. I want to stress that. It's continuous with it. Sclera is white and tough. Okay. All right. So those are the outermost layers of the eye. This next part gets a little complicated. The drawing is not, the explanation is. So kind of focus in here for a moment. We're going to attach a thin sheet to the base of the cornea here. I'm going to bring it down here. I'm going to fold it in half on itself like that. And then I'm going to form the lower eyelid like that. It's not. The tear duct will be on the superior portion of the eye and lateral. This is the eyelid. In fact, let's go ahead and put some lashes on it. Make it nice. Okay. We're going to do the same thing here. I'm going to attach this sheet of tissue to the cornea, bring it up to about here, fold it in half, and make another eyelid. Now I made this one skinnier. It didn't need to be. Just trying to fit it around my words. Now, the sheet that we've attached here. This tissue layer here and here. You see it forms on the surface of the eye and on the inside of the eyelid. I know that's complicated. And it goes around the whole eye like that. So watch me here. This is a huge name. Its name is the Conjunctiva.
That's why if you get pink eye, it's called conjunctivitis.
That's exactly right. It's an inflammation of this tissue layer on the surface of the eye. Now, if you touch the white of your eye right now, you would not be touching the sclera. You'd be touching the conjunctiva because this tissue layer covers the whole eye. I'm going to get a little abstract here, and I want you to try to follow me. I got my hair cut on Saturday. Sat in the barber's chair, and before he cut my hair, what did he put over me? A cape, which attached where? Around my neck. So picture this cape with me. It goes around the neck, and it drapes down over all the clothing to make sure that I don't get any hair on me. Okay? So this conjunctiva attaches around the base of the cornea all the way around, kind of like a barber's cape. Are you with me? Then what happens, picture this, if you're sitting in the barber chair or the beautician's chair, you're going to take the cape and fold it in half on each side on itself up to your neck. Can you picture that? That's how the conjunctiva is. It forms the inside of the eyelid, but also lays on the surface of the eye, like that. Now, lots of things about it. First of all, it has blood vessels in it. Lots of them. But most of the time you don't see them because they're really, really small. But if this tissue becomes inflamed for whatever reason, sometimes because we're really tired, sometimes because of other things, sometimes because we're ill or have an infection in this area, then the blood vessels in this thing will dilate. And when they dilate, you can actually see them in there. That's where eyes look bloodshot. Okay.
So what does the conjunctiva?
The conjunctiva.
That's what inflames?
Yes.
Or dilates? Really?
Yep. The blood vessels in that will dilate. Most of the time, they're so small you can't see them.
And so that makes your eyes red?
Makes your eyes red.
Or just your eyelids?
Not the eyelids, because this, as the lid pulls back and you open your eyes really wide, if you touch any part of your eye, you're touching the conjunctiva. Except for the cornea, it's not covered with the conjunctiva.
Oh, so the conjunctiva isn't always closed like that? Like it's farther down when you're wide open?
Right, yeah, it'll pull back a little bit.
Okay.
But I was always afraid when I first got my contacts that somehow they were going to fall off and like get stuck in the back of my eye and I'd never get them back out. Anybody have that
It's
fear?
happened to me a couple of times. They get
Okay.
caught up in the top.
They do get caught in the top, but they can only go so far because they'll catch at the edge of the conjunctiva here.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can get them back, but sometimes, man, they like
It
to.
takes forever though.
You ever take a contact out only to discover that you don't have a contact in? Like you start digging at your
Yes.
cornea.
Yes.
Ah, man, this thing's in really good.
Yeah.
Oh wait, that's my eye. Okay.
When you get it caught up in the conjunctiva, sometimes you can't feel if it's at the top or the bottom, so you're just like reaching all around trying to find it.
Yes. And then you start producing tears. And your eyes hurt.
And your eyes are all bloody.
Also, I don't wear contacts right now because the last time I did, I was really stupid with them, and I left them in for like a month. Yeah, and they weren't the kind where you can just leave them in.
Did you get an infection?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Is it one of those infections where you have to put eye drops in every single hour?
It wasn't quite that bad, but it was close.
I know someone that had one, and he had to put drops in every hour, so his mom had to wake him up every single hour for like 3 days. And
Oh, wow.
had to put
Yeah.
eye drops in.
Here's what happens, gang. Why do I have to take my contacts out? Let me tell you a story. All right. If you don't take them out, bacteria will live back behind them and reproduce and multiply. When they do, the bacteria, looking for a nutrient source, will find one right here. They will start eating your cornea, digesting it, and nom nom, okay? And it will eat little holes in there, and it's something called corneal ulcers. It hurts. It hurts bad. It feels like fire when light comes into your eyes. And light usually always comes into your eyes. So, yeah. Anyway, so take care of your eyes. You need them to see. That's good learning for you. Okay. All right, let's do another layer. Speaking of light coming into your eyes, we want to control how much does. So we're going to put this guy here as like a barrier, and we're going to put another one here. Now, this is a two-dimensional drawing of a three-dimensional object. Bear that in mind, okay? This is an aperture, an opening. These are the muscles that control the opening. In fact, we're going to make them pretty. So pretty, okay? In fact, you know what? Let's make them blue. Because this is the colored part of the eye, known as the what? The iris. This is the iris. Now, the iris is a round muscle. In the middle of it is nothing. There's some nothing right there. The nothing is known as the pupil. But wait a minute. The pupil's something. The pupil's black. No, it's not. The pupil is black because the inside of your eye is black. The pupil's just a hole. Okay? So, take your hands like this, and I want you to make with me, this is the iris of your eye. Presently, the room in here is dark, so we need to let more light in. So do that. And as you do, the opening, the pupil becomes larger. Now, if you go to the movie theater in the summertime, and you see a nice movie in the middle of the day, and it's super dark and cool in there, then you hit the crash bar and walk out of the theater, and your eyes suffer this terrible tragedy of this sunlight, like, suffer! Your eyes do this instantly, okay? Trying to let less light in, okay? It's the irises that adjust to change the shape of the pupil. And the iris has muscles in it that go both ways. Now, when you go to the eye doctor, what they want to look at is in the very back of the eye here. It's the retina, which we'll get to in a minute. But they can't really see it super great through this tiny hole. So what do they try to do? Sometimes they'll put drops in that dilate your pupils, that basically cause these muscles to relax. And when they relax all the way, they can get a really good look in the back of your eye then. Then you look a little weird for a while. You're like you're on something.
You gotta wear funky sunglasses when you're outside.
Yeah, you do.
I almost crashed trying to drive home from it.
Yeah, that's for a reason I'll show you here in just a second. Okay. These two together control light in the eye.
So, on our primer, it's the iris that controls it?
The pupil is the hole, the iris is the muscle.
So, the pupil is the hole and the iris does its size.
Uh-huh. Yep. Now, in the spirit of these continuous layers, this is also a continuous layer. I want you to draw a really thin layer that lays on top of the sclera here. And now I want you to take that layer and I want you to make it as black as you can make it.
How does the iris have color?
Genetics.
Just randomly your muscle is a random color? in your eye?
It has to do with a combination of pigments, but they used to think it was a single gene trait, like whether you have a widow's peak or whether your earlobes are attached or things like that.
Yeah.
But now they're finding that it is a multi-gene trait, and it's related to a lot of different factors.
Isn't that just kind of like odd though that a muscle is just like colored blue or green?
Yeah,
It's
I-
normally not that color.
I have a tendency to agree with that because what's the physiological significance for survival of having colored eyes versus brown eyes versus green eyes versus blue eyes?
You can attract mates.
Ha ha ha. Oh, is that hypothalamus at work again? All right. This layer of the eye is just black, okay? But it's important. Its name is the choroid. Choroid is black, pigmented with the same pigment we have in the rest of our body, which is what? Starts with an M. See, and that's what a lot of people say because it sounds a lot like melatonin, but melatonin is a neurotransmitter in the brain.
Malone.
Take the T out and some other letters. All right, I scared you off. Sorry.
Melatonin? Is it
Close.
melatonin?
Close. It's just melanin. 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 Melanin is the same pigment we have in our skin. So like when we go tan or stand out in the sun or whatever, if you don't burn, basically what happens is your skin has cells in there called melanocytes, which produce more melanin to make our skin just slightly darker. We have a ton of melanin in the choroid of the eye, which is like, okay, what's the big deal? Here's the big deal. This white paper is white because it reflects every wavelength of light. This area that I colored black is black because it, what? Absorbs every wavelength of light. We need the choroid in our eye to prevent light from scattering. We want it to come into the eye, be absorbed into the choroid, and in the process it will go through the retina, which is the seeing part. If we don't have this pigment, for example, people that have the inability to produce pigment, that have very white skin, white hair,
Albino.
that is albinism or albinos. In this case, there is no pigment. There's a genetic disorder where pigment, this protein, is not able to be produced. As a result, this layer of the eye gains no black color. This layer of the eye gains no color at all and is only the color of the blood vessels, which is what?
Red.
Red. Okay?
Do they have red eye?
Yes. Okay.
That's crazy.
All right. This layer is super important for that.
Do
Now,
they see normal?
no, that's the
Do they
thing.
see like...
People with true albinism are usually almost blind. Yeah. And I really messed something up, but we'll get back to here in a minute. Everything's accurate. I just need to be in this space that I drew all this stuff on. Okay, we'll fix it. Now, here is the most important layer of the eye, right here. It goes about halfway up here. This is the actual seeing part of the eye. This whole thing back here. This is your what? Retina. All the other stuff in the eye is fancy machinery to help to focus in the right amount of light and the right focal points and protect the eye and everything else like that to make sure that this layer of the eye can do what it does. Seeing part. Has rods and what? Cones. Seeing part has rods and cones in it. Okay. As long as the image is projected onto this area of the eye, you'll be able to see just fine. Okay? But here's the trouble, folks. We want to see stuff that's close, like your paper, and stuff that's far away, like the stuff I'm drawing that you're trying to look at. it takes two different lenses to focus in those distances. Actually, it takes somewhat of an infinite number of lenses to focus in different distances. Your eye accommodates for that by doing this. And I hate that I'm drawing this right here, but it's got to go here. I'm sorry, guys. I totally wrecked it.
What is the one that say saying on the right?
Right here. Seeing part has rods and cones. Okay. What did I just draw right here, other than a mess?
You drew the, I think it's the aperture or something like that.
It's way simpler than that.
It's the,
Lens.
yeah, that's what I was going for.
Okay. An aperture is an opening. The pupil is an aperture of the eye. Okay. Now, this is simplified here. I'm drawing these little things, and I'm drawing this muscle that attaches to it. Okay. Hey, what nerve controls this muscle? Lily? What's that? Trochlear would be on the outside. Sorry, I tricked you because I taught you that one today. It's going to be, anybody remember which number 3 is?
It's a
Starts with an O. Oculomotor. It controls this, and some muscles around it. Folks, when you look up at the board, your eye has to focus differently than when you look at your paper. Let me tell you what's cool about the lens. It's flexible. Changes shape to focus. It's flexible and it changes shape to focus. Now the lens in and of itself has no impetus to tell it, okay, change your shape. Okay, it is attached to these little ligaments and these muscles right here. This muscle is called a ciliary body. A ciliary body. The ciliary body is going to contract and it's going to change the shape of the lens. Okay, so you can see things that are up close and far away. Now there's a limit. I know my kids run up to me, hey dad, look at this, and they'll shove a paper in my face like right here. Like, I can't see that. I can't see that paper. Please back it away. Okay? Take your paper off your desk right now. Hold it up to your face. Okay? It is impossible for you to focus on things that are this close. There is a minimum focal length. Okay? Now start pulling this paper away from your face. Not quite there, and then maybe right about there. The minimum focal length is about 8 centimeters or so. It'll vary from person to person just slightly, but if you're this close in, you can't possibly focus on it. Okay? But your lens changes its shape so that you can see things that are close and far away. Okay? Now, mom and dad, if you ever see them try to read, hey, check out what I got on my test, and you hand them the test, sometimes they do this action. You ever seen them do that? Hold the arms way out. Ah, it looks good. Or take the glasses off. Oh, good job. Okay? Over time, our lens becomes less flexible and will not get back to its original shape so we can see things that are up close. As a result, you got to wear reading glasses, and that just has to do with the lens changing. Now, next week we'll talk about why we need regular glasses just to see the board or things like that for nearsighted and farsighted. So, just as a quick recap then, cornea, clear part at the front of the eye. Then it's continuous with the sclera, which is the white of the eye. Right behind it is the iris, which changes the shape of the hole in it, which is the pupil. It is continuous with this portion of the eye called the choroid. Laying on top of that is the retina, the seeing part of the eye, which attaches back here. Ooh, I should label this too. What is that?
Optic nerve.
Optic nerve. Cranial nerve number what? Yes. Cranial nerve 2. Okay. I just drew a whole bunch of lines here. Those lines are myelinated axons. If you want to draw, maybe draw about 10 million of them. Okay? All right. Myelinated axons in here. Okay. The lens is this portion right here. It's a bag of protein and fluid, and basically it changes its shape to allow light to focus on this. Okay. So that is the basics of the structure of the eye.